In the green hills of rural Jamaica, beyond the noise and rush of city life, there was a place many only dreamed of: Eden District. Eden District was a small community in the parish of Westmoreland. People who lived there were mainly farmers, and everyone in the community shared their produce and resources. Life in Eden District wasn't rich in dollars, but rich in peace. In this quiet place lived two young lovers, Adrian and Eva. They were married for 8 years. Their life was simple and full of peace. They farmed the land, cared for animals, and lived in a wooden cottage passed down through their family. Every morning they woke to the sun rising over the hills in a strong sense of God's presence. Their dreams were simple: build their home, grow their food, raise a family, and honor God. One night after their usual prayer meeting and evening devotion, Adrian and Eva went to bed in peace. It was just before dawn. The village of Eden District lay still. Only the soft sound of frogs and wind whispering through banana leaves filled the air. Inside the small wooden cottage, Adrian tossed and turned in his bed. Sweat glistened on his forehead. His chest rose and fell with restlessness. Then suddenly, everything went still. A voice, not from outside, but deep within, broke the silence. Adrian, 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 you have kept your integrity and remained faithful. You will be tested. Pass the test. The words rang out like thunder, not loud but full of power. Adrian jolted upright, breathless. His heart pounded like a drum in his chest. He said nothing. He just slid off the bed, onto his knees. Not in fear, but in surrender. Hands clasped tightly, he began to whisper, "Father, whatever this is, whatever is coming, prepare me, cover my family, show me the truth. Let me not fail you." For nearly half an hour he stayed there, silent, still, soaking in the moment. Then slowly he laid back down, and this time he didn't just sleep. He crossed into something deeper. In the dream, there was golden light. Adrian walked barefoot along a quiet countryside path. The air was warm, peaceful, strange. Under an old tree, he saw her. An elderly woman sat on a rock, her face calm, her eyes sharp, like she had lived many lifetimes. She didn't ask who he was. She didn't smile. She simply spoke. "There is a man in this district. Avoid him. His wealth comes quick, but not clean." Adrian tried to speak, but no words came. She just nodded gently and faded into mist. The dream dissolved. As morning broke, light crept through the wooden slats of their cottage. Outside, Eva stirred porridge over a small fire, humming a quiet hymn. Adrian stepped out slowly, his face focused. Still shaken, still sure, he sat beside her beneath her favorite tree. "Eva, I had a vision, then a dream. God called me by name 3 times. He said I'm going to be tested, and I must pass the test." Eva's smile faded, her brow furrowed. "What kind of test?" she asked. "I don't know yet," Adrian said, "but in the dream, an old woman told me something. There is a man in this district. Avoid him. His wealth comes quick, but not clean." Eva grew still. She asked, "A real man?" Adrian nodded. "I believe we need to pray and fast. My spirit tells me God has something great in store for us, but we must pass through fire first." Eva reached for his hand. "Then we fast, we pray, we stand together," she said, "because whatever blessing God has for us, I want it to be clean, not corrupted." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Eva began to hum a quiet revival song.
Victory is mine, victory is mine, victory today is mine. I told Satan, get thee behind, victory today is mine.
Adrian joined her. Their voices were broken but honest, their faith raw but united. They didn't know when the test would come or what it would look like, but their hearts were ready, and heaven was listening. In the quiet corners of Eden District, time seemed to move more slowly. But something in the spirit had shifted. There was no lightning, no earthquakes, just a sense that a test was coming. Adrian and Eva didn't panic. They didn't run, they prayed. At sunrise, Adrian knelt by the bed, the Bible open in front of him, head bowed. Eva sat beside him, eyes closed, hands gently lifted. A soft beam of sunlight slipped through the wooden window, bathing their room in gold. Their voices whispered into the morning, "Lord, help us to see, help us to hear, help us to stand. Cover our home, guide our steps, strengthen our faith." Later that morning, Eva stood in the kitchen with quiet hands. She poured bush tea into a cup with no sugar, wrapped a piece of breadfruit in foil, and placed it back, uneaten. On the wall hung a handwritten note. No meat, no indulgence, just prayer. Because their hunger wasn't for food, it was for God's voice. In the afternoon, Adrian walked the land in silence, machete in hand, but he didn't cut. Instead, he knelt in the dirt and prayed over the soil. At the edge of the yard, Eva stood still, her arms lifted toward the hills as she sang softly under her breath.
We need to hear from you. We need a word from you.
That evening, they sat together outside their cottage. No talking, just bowed heads and hands tightly joined. The sky behind them began to darken. Clouds gathered. A storm wasn't far off. A goat bleated somewhere down the hill. The air grew heavy, not with rain, but with revelation. They didn't speak much, but they didn't need to. Heaven was already reading the posture of their hearts. At night, Eva lit a single candle. Adrian lay face down on the wooden floor. The Bible beside him opened to Psalm 17. 3. Thou hast tried me. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. The room was quiet, but the spirit was watchful. Then the wind moved gently through the trees outside. The candle flickered, the lamp pulsed. Eva looked up, her eyes wide. Something passed through the room, not a sound, not a shadow, but a whisper. Then the voice, soft and reassuring, echoed through the room. You are seen, you are heard, the test is near. And that was enough. They didn't need answers. They only needed God. The next afternoon, he arrived. The hum of bass shook the quiet hills. A flashy SUV rolled off the main road, its chrome rims flashing in the sun, tinted windows, foreign plates. The tires crunched slowly over gravel as the vehicle came to a deliberate stop beside the village shop. He stepped out, tall, slim, and polished. His shirt was white and crisp. A thin gold chain sat just below his neck. His shoes, Italian leather. His cologne lingered, his smile sharp. His eyes stayed hidden behind designer sunglasses. They called him Slick Snake, not to his face, but when he was gone, charismatic, charming, mysterious. He dressed like Kingston royalty and spoke like someone who always knew more than he said. No one knew what he really did, but everyone knew what followed him: fast money, quiet fear, and sudden silence. He strolled casually into the shop, adjusted his cufflinks, handed the shopkeeper a thick bill for a cold drink. Keep the change, he said with a grin. A few villagers glanced over, whispering. Children stopped their games. Even the dogs seemed to pause. He leaned on the hood of the SUV, sipping slowly like he had all the time in the world. Then he saw Adrian. At the edge of a yard, bent over a zinc fence, working with a bent nail and a rusty hammer. Slick Snake smiled, wide, knowing. I see you, brethren. Humble spirit, hungry eyes. Later that day, just as the heat began to soften and shadows stretched longer across the dirt road, the SUV returned. It didn't make a scene. It just pulled up beside Adrian, quiet, calculated. Adrian looked up from where he worked, hammer in hand, shirt soaked with sweat, a bent nail between his fingers. The window eased down and there was Slick Snake, leaning slightly, one elbow resting on the edge of the glass. His voice was smooth, almost kind. Almost. You ever get tired of the struggle? You ever wonder if maybe, just maybe, you don't have to wait 10 years to build a house? Then he reached into his blazer and pulled out a wad of crisp US dollars. It wasn't flashy, just deliberate, quiet power. I have something, he said. Safe, quiet, just a few calls a week. No face, no risk. Adrian stood still. The hammer slipped slightly in his grip. He didn't answer at first, because the truth was, he was tired. Tired of waiting. Tired of watching Eva dream with no tools to build it. Tired of praying and feeling like God was quiet. And for a moment, just a breath of one, he was tempted. But then, like a flicker of light, he remembered the warning. There is a man in this district. Avoid him. His wealth comes quick, but not clean. Adrian straightened up. His voice was steady. His eyes clear. No, I'm good. I trust God. I don't want the fast road. Slick Snake didn't argue. He just smiled. That same smile that never reached his eyes. Then slowly the SUV rolled away. Dust rose behind the tires. But the temptation, it stayed. Because he didn't stop there. Eva was tired, not just from walking, but from waiting, from hearing soon and next time, from patching and praying and hoping things would change. She didn't expect to see him, but as she passed the corner by the mango tree, his SUV rolled beside her. The window lowered, slowly, smoothly, and there he was. Miss Eva, he said, like they'd known each other for years. I hear your oven stopped working. So sorry, a woman like you, ambitious, gifted, you could be running things, you know. All you need is one good link. She kept walking cautiously, but the words followed her like a shadow. I just want peace in my yard, she said softly, but sometimes peace feels like poverty. He smiled, said nothing more, just nodded and drove away. But his voice stayed in her ears. That evening, Eva and Adrian sat quietly at their small wooden table. Adrian on one side, Eva on the other. The meal was modest, boiled dumplings, a piece of salt fish, green bananas still steaming. There was no fan to cool the room, just the soft hum of crickets outside and the occasional creak of the old cottage walls. Adrian ate slowly, his thoughts louder than the silence. He kept glancing across the table at Eva, searching her face. Then he placed his fork down and spoke. I saw him today. Eva looked up briefly, curious, but said nothing. Slick Snake, he continued. He pulled up while I was fixing the fence. Said he had something to offer. Quiet work, no risk. Showed me US dollars. Said I didn't have to struggle anymore. Said I could build our house faster. Eva didn't flinch. Her face stayed calm, still. She didn't answer. She just kept chewing slowly, her eyes drifting back to her plate. Adrian leaned forward slightly. I told him no, he said more firmly now. I told him I trust God. I don't want any fast road. But still, Eva said nothing. She didn't nod, didn't smile, didn't even blink in surprise. She simply lowered her gaze and kept eating. The silence between them stretched out like the night itself. Adrian watched her, waiting for something, anything, a response, a word, a sigh, but none came. She didn't disagree. She didn't agree. She just reached for her tin cup of water and took a sip. She didn't speak that night, not because she didn't care, but because somewhere deep inside, she had already started listening to another voice, one offering more than words, one that made poverty feel like punishment and temptation sounded like freedom. Don't miss the next powerful chapter of this unforgettable Jamaican parable. If this story stirred your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more modern Jamaican parables that uplift and inspire. Drop a comment We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep the fire of faith, hope, and kindness burning strong. Together we can tell stories that change lives and build a better world. Blessings from Jamaica.